Okay, so we'll start here by looking at Robinson Cano's swing. He's often used in swing analysis. Many people think that he's got one of the sweetest swings in baseball. This is from the 2011 Home Run Derby. You'll notice that when we start here, already in his stance, he's already at the toe touch. You can see here in the front, he's just kind of touching his toe, getting ready to go into his knee knock. His hands are back, and you'll see that his bat is kind of a little more vertical than some people teach. But what you have to understand is that he hasn't even gotten into his foot plant here, and really nothing matters until you get to your foot plant. So whatever kind of style you have, whether you like to swing the bat or do little circles with your bat or move your hands up and down, whatever happens before the foot plant really doesn't matter, and that's something of batter style. But once you get into foot plant, we'll go from there. His hands already do start in the back position though. Okay, so if we move forward just a little bit here, you'll see that he goes into his knee knock, where he's not really knocking his knees, but he does bring this front knee up to the, he does bring this front knee here up towards the back, and this is more of a timing. Some guys do a toe touch where they bring the front foot back to touch the back foot before striding out. Some guys lift it straight up and raise that knee up before striding out. Robinson, he does a little bit of a knee knock before he strides out. But you'll notice that as he goes up, as he brings his knee in, his hands have come back, right? And now his bat is right there in the slot with the knob pointing back towards the catcher, and he's setting himself up for a good power position and a good swing. Once he brings his foot down and gets into foot plant right here, this is where he really starts his swing. Right? So we back it up just a little bit. Here he gets to his foot plant. Hands are here he's in foot plant. Here his hands are back, and as he came up with his knees, his hands moved back and his waist rotated around. Comes back down to the foot plant, and his hands stay back. So he's got all this coil up here, built up here in his core, ready to unleash on the ball. As he starts his swing, you notice it's his hips that move forward. His hips rotate forward while his hands stay right back by his shoulder. Back elbow up against the body, and his hips start the swing. The hips always start the swing. As he comes through, what you want to recognize, now that he's in his foot plant, now he really gets rotational. And if you look about, as he rotates about this axis here, you'll notice, if you keep an eye on his head won't really move forward to this line. You'll see his head hardly moves at all. He's so focused on the swing and the ball that his head is very quiet, very still. When coaches say be quiet, have quiet feet, or a quiet head, that means no movement. So as we come through, his elbow leads the swing, followed by the hands. The bat barrel lags behind, up against his back shoulder. Notice his head hasn't moved at all. His weight has switched from his back leg to his front leg, and you see it's beginning to straighten out here. Let me get that line. He's beginning to straighten out that front leg. Got a little bit of tilt there in the back, but his head hasn't moved at all. You'll notice his glare goes right down the line there with his leg, and he's going to try and make contact with the ball right out here in front of his front foot. So we move forward a little bit further. Here he's about to make contact right there in front of his front foot. That's where you have the most power and the most vision on the ball. You can see his eyes looking straight. You see his eyes here looking straight down. Great vision on the ball. Let me erase some of these things here. And he's still got, his arms are still not fully extended. Right? This arm is coming and punching up. This arm, this back arm, is still not fully extended. Makes contact with the ball, still rotating around, extends his arms at contact, extends some more, and now he gets into his wrist roll. And look at his head, look at his eyes. He's still looking right down to where he made contact. He's not tracking the ball, waiting to see where it went. His head is still. He hasn't moved forward of that axis, and he's got a nice power line from his head to his front foot. You'll notice that all the weight has shifted from his back foot. He's got very little, if no weight there in his back foot. Some guys even have that lifted off the ground. All his weight is on this front leg, and he's swinging, rotating against that front leg. And he comes through. Swings all the way through, both hands on the bat, to the end where you end up seeing his numbers on the back of his shirt. So that's what's considered a really nice rotational swing. Most pros end up looking this way, even though they start in many different stances and many different styles. Once they get the foot plant, they often swing much like this one. And that's something that we can do in the little leagues as well. So that's you can look this through and study Robinson Cano and try to make your swing match his. Whenever you get confused, come on back, have a look at it, and you can remind yourself of some of the things that you should be doing. All right, so there you go, Robinson Cano.